Are you looking to wax your painted finishes, but the traditional waxes that are out there always leave it streaky or blotchy or sticky or don't quite cure all the way or don't harden or don't protect your paint finish the way you want it to? Today, I'm going to show you the easiest way that you'll ever top coat paint. And instead of using those old traditional waxes, use something a little bit different, something unique and something special on the market today. It's our Wise Owl Paint Salve. And if you haven't heard of it already, it's good for everything. But what I love to use it for is my painted finishes to give a truly beautiful matte, flat finish that's everything I want without the sheen. And it could not be easier. I'm going to tell you it's the easiest way you'll ever top coat paint. There'll be no streaking, no blotching, no second and third and fourth applications to try to get the spots that didn't soak into the paint quite right. It's going to be just so easy. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned here on Wise Owl Paint Party. What we're going to work on today is the Unscented Hemp Salve, which is what I use for most of my finishes as my normal clear top coat. Now, it's not clear. So just let me make that clear right out at the very beginning of this video. It is hemp oil based. And as you'll see when I show you the inside of this, it has a little bit of color to it, as you would expect from something hemp oil based. But the discoloration from this color that you see here is just at the absolute minimum you could ever imagine. So I use it on everything except white. So white would be the only one where you might, and I say might because it would have to be Snow Owl, which is the whitest of white, for you really to notice any discoloration at all. So just to start it off with that, I'm using their Unscented Hemp Salve. And that's kind of your, main top coat when you're talking about something that's in their salve category of products. But you can use, and I laid out a few here, they have white tea and black sea and all different kinds of really awesome smelling kinds, which you can also use for top coating. So the idea for using a salve is similar to what you might know of using a wax. So a lot of traditional waxes are, they can be water-based, they can be oil-based, they can have chemicals and solvents and all this different kind of stuff in it. Theirs is very green. It's very, it's like I said, hemp oil-based, and it's clean. There's no smell. I mean, it's just a safer product, especially for me, someone who has issues with sinuses. That is better for me. It's definitely something you can use indoors and definitely something I would use all over everything in your house, which, well, that's a whole nother video. But for today, we're talking about top coating with their salve. And again, I'm going to use their Unscented Hemp, which is what I use for most top coating that I do with my finishes anytime I want that salve matte finish. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's the beauty of using their salve. Is if you want the most beautiful matte, chalk painted, whatever the word verbiage you want to use, but just with no sheen, just the color, their salve is amazing. So you're not going to get any discoloration, any sheen, it's just going to be just beautifully matte, and it's just gorgeous when it's dry. So I'm just going to show you how I do it and how easy it is. And it's going to be the easiest top coating you've ever done in your lifetime. And I've used a lot of different top coats, and I can tell you this is the easiest you'll try. So I have my 2-inch palm brush, and this is the best brush I've used for any kind of waxing. It's their Wise Owl Premium brush, and it's a 2-inch palm is what it's called. And it's just, it's perfect for top coating. You obviously wouldn't use this for accenting waxes and stuff because it's just so big. But the fact that it is big is what makes it really amazing, because when you're top coating, you're getting the whole surface of whatever you're painting in top coating. So you really want to have something that's a good size, a good thickness, a good, and round is always good, because that means you can get in and around, and then just how you can grab it and hold it. And, because let's face it, salving or waxing, whatever it is a tedious process. I mean, you got to go get it in all the places. So having something that's easy to hold, comfortable to hold matters. So, but as you're going to see, this is unlike any of your traditional waxes that you've probably tried, because it's really, really easy. So I have the quart size, so you can get them in the 4 8-ounce tins, and then the quart size. I highly recommend the quart size for the unscented, because it'll probably be the one you use most of the time. And then the scented ones you can use, like I did a China hutch for a dining room. I used a scented kind for top coating, so it would make the room smell really nice. So you can do that. Just know that the scent will dissipate over time, probably 6-month-ish time frame, where you probably won't smell it. Somebody who comes in your house might still smell it, but so it'd be something that you'd have to reapply if you want to continue the scent, although the sealant and protectant will still be in place with it being a hemp oil based product, which is the other part. So it's not only clean and easy to use, but with the hemp oil, it's going to really give you a good, strong, protective surface once you're done. Now, it's not going to replace a varnish or an OHE clear, which is going to be for more high traffic areas. So, just make sure we're clear on that. It's not like I would use this on a tabletop necessarily, but I have used it on tops of dressers and, whole dressers, where it's not like they're writing on it or throwing their keys on it every day, because it will give you a good solid surface. But if it's a high traffic area, I definitely recommend the Wysol varnish or the Wysol 1 Hour enamel clear coat. So, but I digress. Now I got a little bit on, and I'm just gonna rub it on, and you're gonna watch this is my new Refurbished Gentleman color. You're gonna watch this color change right before your eyes. So what's gonna happen is the hemp oil based salve is gonna soak in and absorb and chemically bond with the paint, which is what's the cool part about this. It's not just sitting on top, it's becoming a part of the painted finish. And then when it dries, it's becoming a protectant, a sealant, and then it will have a strong bond where, it will take some wear and tear. So I'm going to start this. I'm going to do one coat, and I'm going to let it dry so you can see that this is the color dry paint. I'll show you what it's going to look like wet, and then I'm going to show you what it's going to look like after it dries, because it does, just like anything, when it gets wet, it gets a little bit darker than it actually will be once it dries. So this will paint on wet and darker looking, and then once it dries completely, it will lighten up just a hair. So it'll be somewhere between what you see now, what you're about to see is where your color will be when it's done. And I have a couple pieces done in Refurbished Gentleman. You can look on my Facebook page, or maybe I'll add a picture in here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So here we go. And that's all there is to it. Could not be easier, folks. The easiest top coat you will ever put on a piece right here. There's no streaking, there's no sticking, there's no, I've used a lot of different waxes, and streaking was always the issue that I had. And it was so frustrating, because you'd end up having to do 2 coats, maybe a 3rd coat to get the spot that didn't quite absorb into the paint, and yada, yada, yada. That will not happen with this at all whatsoever. And you see I brushed it with the grain, and I can go in circles. Doesn't really matter, because it's not going to leave those streaks from the wax or from the salve like a wax would. So you're just gonna brush it on. And you can brush with the grain, without the grain, circles, however you want to do it. What I normally do is I just go with the grain, and then once I get it on, I'll go in circles and really get it to penetrate into the paint really good. And then we'll move on to the next step. How you guys like my collar? Nice, right? you've already watched the first video. You watched me paint it on. I was as excited then, and I'm still excited now. Here, it's been a couple weeks since it got released. But as I said, the color is going to be somewhere between what you see now and what you saw at the beginning, because this will dry and it will lighten up just a little bit. So I'll try to add a little, spot up in the video somewhere where I add in the finished piece for you so you can see what I'm talking about. So it's darkening it up quite a bit. But that's it. That's all there's going to be to it. And if you're thinking, like I did a buffet as an example. I did the whole buffet with 1 coat, and then I did the top in 2 coats. So you can do a second coat if you feel like, you want to add just a little bit of added extra protection, which is something I have done before. So you do the first coat, you go through all the steps, and then you do a second coat and go through all the steps, and that's all there's to it. And it just gives you a couple layers of salve to protection. But if you're new and you've never seen salve go on paint before, that is all there is to it. 2-inch palm brush, circular motion with the green, however you want to do it. And it's that really just, it could not be easier. And then again, it's going to dry a little lighter in color, and then it's going to dry this beautiful matte finish. So you're going to get that chalk style painted finish that you wanted without any of the sheen that comes with some of the other top coats. So that looks good. Looks like I got it everywhere. So next step, blue shop towel. What we're going to do is we're going to wipe back the excess, just like you would with your traditional wax. It's the same concept with that. We're going to pull back any of the excess and just going to simply gently wipe it off. And what you're going to want to do is, you can see how this is really wet looking. We're going to try to get rid of as much of that wet look as possible. So we're just going to rub. And again, you're not going to have any streaking. So there's not going to be any worry of, I got to pull it this way or got to pull it that way, because you're worried about the streaking. And trust me, I've used some that streaks were horrible once you get to the waxing step. Well, with the salve, you're just not going to have that problem. So we're just going to wipe. And I'd like to go with the grain. I guess it's force of habit from using wax for a couple of years, but with the salve, you really don't need to worry about it too much, because again, it's not gonna leave any kind of streaky marks no matter what you do. So all I'm trying to do is pull back as much of the excess. And again, you can see what I'm doing. I'm taking a little bit and then I'm folding it over, because if I just keep wiping off with the wet spot, I'm not accomplishing what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm just wiping more of the wet back on there. So you're going to wipe a few times, and then you're going to swap out your piece. So what I do is just, another basic tip. I fold it into squares, right? Use each one of the squares, fold it over, fold it back into the square, and then have 4 more squares to use it. And it's just a way to utilize one shop towel as much as possible without being wasteful, because when it comes right down to it, you're buying products, you'd like them to last as much as you can. So I'm just wiping it off again until I can get as dry as possible. And you can see it already is pulling back what was a very wet, it's almost like I sprayed it with water look, and then we're pulling it back to where it still has a damp look, but not a wet look. So, and you might need to, take a little corner and stick it down if you got some edges and recessed areas. So I'm going to do this until I get as much as I can with my shop towel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let it dry. Now the one caveat and the one thing I like to tell people when you're using salve is it will take longer to dry. So please don't get frustrated with that. It's just one of those things where you're using a hemp oil based product. It's not going to dry overnight like some of the chemically based waxes that have the solvents and stuff that evaporate and all that kind of stuff in the product. So it's not gonna do that. So it's not gonna dry as fast. So you're gonna have a little bit more patience and a little bit more time to allow it to dry when you're using this product. But again, it's just cleaner, easier to use. So if I gotta wait a couple extra days for the salve to dry, it's the weighing your pros and cons of kind of thing. And that's pretty much the only one. All right. Now you can see there's still in the ridges, so I'm gonna go back and just kind of dig the corner of my shop towel in there and pull that out. Because you really, like I said, you don't wanna leave a bunch of wet spots in here. You wanna try to get it as dry as possible. And basically rubbing it into the paint and pulling off the excess all at the same time. And then once this dries enough, I'm gonna come back with the next step and walk through exactly what I'm gonna want you to do to get it the final end result that you want. So for right now, that's it. All right, so I set out, that was it, but I have one little other thing that I wanted to show you and just kind of walk through. I wiped all the wet off, right? And it's literally like 5 minutes later. One of the things you'll have with your shop towel, rubbing oil-based something off of something that has a little bit of friction, is you're gonna have the fuzzies, the little shop towel fuzzies that are gonna get all over, and you're probably gonna be annoyed. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? It's perfectly normal. The cool thing about the salve is it's not gonna stick like a traditional wax will have the lint and stuff actually stick to the wax and get stuck in the wax. It's not gonna happen with the salve. But what you're gonna wanna have is something like this. And I've had this thing for years. It's like a shoe shining kit, buffing brush kind of thing, kind of like what I had in basic training when I buffed my boots out. And what I'll do is after I use my shop towel and I have those fuzzies that are kind of all over, I'm just gonna simply brush the fuzzies off. You take my little buffing brush and I'm just gonna go like this. And I'm just gonna get all the little fuzzies off. And it works great. It's worked really well for me. I'll see if I can find a link to where you can find one of these things. You probably find them on Amazon. But I've had this for a while. I don't even remember where I got it from, but it's a great little tool for this particular step. So after I closed out of that last part, I finished up drying and I saw the fuzzies and grabbed it and realized, oh my gosh, I didn't show that in the video. So just wanted to show you that because again, you're rubbing this shop towel with an oil-based product against something that has a little bit of friction and you're just gonna get the little blue fuzzies. And I mean, it's not gonna stick to your salve, it's not gonna stick to the finish, but you definitely wanna just kind of buff it off. So if you can find one of these things, I'll see what I can do to find a link and I'll put it in the comments below. But I really just wanted to show you, just another little something, another little trick, especially for, the basics. That's what these videos are gonna be for, just to help you not get frustrated because as I've said before, if you know what you're doing the first time, this is a lot of fun. It's super addicting. So that'll be it for this step. And then our next step will probably be tomorrow where I do what we do next. And then we're gonna walk away from it and let it dry. All right, so we're on to our last step of top coating with Wise Owl's Unscented Hemp Furniture Salve. And before I get going, I just want to say thank you for watching the video. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified anytime I add new content. And then please, please, please share if you're feeling like this information is good information and you know someone who's looking for those basics, please share. So our last step, as you can see, it's dry and it's been almost 24 hours. Anytime from 12 hours or after, you're gonna come to this step. So if it's a day or two, however you wanna do it, as long as it's about 12 hours, because basically what you're letting it do is you're letting it absorb into the paint, adhere, do its thing chemically, and then anything that rises to the top, we're gonna buff off or buff away or whatever the terminology is that you wanna use. So you're gonna get a microfiber, lint-free cloth, of any sort, and Don't use shop towel just because this holds together. It's not going to fray and fall apart again like that first step. And because all we're doing now is buffing off any excess that we still see or just buffing in general. So you're just going to take it across the top of the surface. And this is all we're doing. And this is going to be the final step. And as you can see, I did pretty good with getting as much of the wetness. So it's really nothing for me to buff. So depending on how much you left on there could depend on how wet it ends up being for this last step right here. But you're just going to kind of go over top of it and you can see. And I use the shop towel for the first step because I can just throw those away. If you use the microfiber for the first step, it's going to get caked on hemp oil. So I use this for the last step just to buff it because it's not going to have big caked on residue or anything like that where all you're doing is wiping the salve back on instead of buffing it. So hopefully that makes sense. So this is all you're going to do. You're going to go over all your surfaces and ensure it gets buffed in real good. If there's any wet spots, you make sure you get it. But I think I did really good for that first wipe down with the shop towel. And then as you saw, it kind of came back and showed you my little buffing brush, my old shining my boots days. This is really helpful just to get the lint and all that kind of stuff off of your piece if you happen to have some from that shop towel. And then now I'm using my microfiber lint-free cloth to buff. And that's all there is to it. I mean, look at how beautiful matte finish that you get from the furniture salve. And no matter which kind you use, whether it's the unscented or the scented, it'll still have the same, beautiful sheen that you get, which is none, which I love. One of the advantages of using a chalk style paint is having that beautiful matte finish, and to be able to keep it is one of the hardest things to do. And with the furniture salve, you are able to do that because you can really just allow it to dry, buff it, and there you go. But that's all there's to it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is probably the most requested one I've gotten so far because a lot of people either don't use wax or don't use salve for top coating, either because they didn't know you could use the salve, or they're from the old furniture wax style of things where it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So hopefully this shows another option, something that's really easy to do and get you that beautiful matte sheen that you're looking for when you're using a chalk style paint. And there you have it. Easy, right? I told you, that's all there is to it. Little brush here, little brush there, soaks into the paint, you rub, buff, all the fun stuff. But you saw me, no streaking. You saw the beautiful matte finish and its protection after it cures. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. And that's not all you can use salve for. I'll have many more videos coming on all the different uses, but that's my main use. The one thing that people ask me the most, how do I get that beautiful matte finish? It's our Wise Out Paint Furniture Salve. And don't forget, it comes in many different scents. So if you're looking to, spruce up the room a little bit more with a nice smell, don't forget to check those out as well. So hopefully you like this video. Hopefully you're looking forward to more salve videos. If you are, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll know anytime I add more of those salve videos. And if you want to try some Wise Out Paint Furniture Salve today, please find your local Wise Out retailer near you. I'll have a link below to help you find the one nearest you. And as always, happy painting.